Every morning you wake up, you have a choice to keep the promise you made to yourself or to break it. And let's be honest, most people break it. They wake up tired, uninspired, and they say, I'll do it tomorrow. But here's the truth. There's no tomorrow. There's only now. And if you don't act on that promise today, you're slowly teaching yourself that your words mean nothing. You say you'll change. You say you'll work harder. You say you'll start that project. Get in shape. Fix your habits. Chase your dream. But you keep postponing it as if life owes you another chance. It doesn't. You made a promise to yourself. And every time you break it, you kill a little piece of your own trust. Let that sink in. Because your self-confidence isn't built on motivation. It's built on reputation. The reputation you have with yourself. If you don't trust you, who will? You see, we've been trained to keep promises to everyone. Our parents, our partners, our friends, our bosses, but not to ourselves. We cancel on ourselves first. We put our dreams on a waiting list. We sacrifice our own growth for comfort, for approval, for distraction. We betray the person in the mirror. And we call it responsibility. But deep down, we know it's fear. Fear of failure. Fear of being seen. Fear of starting again. So we lie to ourselves. It's not the right time. We convince ourselves that waiting is wisdom. But waiting is just another form of dying. Because the version of you that could have been, the strong, disciplined, unstoppable you, dies a little every time you choose comfort over commitment. But it doesn't have to end that way. Because one day you will wake up and you'll remember who you promised to be. You'll look in the mirror and realize that this isn't it. This life isn't what you dreamed of. And the voice inside you, the one you've been ignoring, will whisper, keep your promise. That voice is your soul trying to save you. It's reminding you of the fire you once had. Before the world told you who to be. Before doubt buried your dreams. Before you learned to silence your own potential just to fit in. You made a promise. To live differently. To stop hiding. To start creating. To start loving yourself enough to say, I deserve better. And that's not arrogance, that's truth. You owe yourself the same loyalty you give to everyone else. When was the last time you truly showed up for you? Not for a deadline, not for a paycheck, but for your own growth, for your own peace? When was the last time you sat alone and asked, what do I need? And actually listened? We keep saying, I'll be happy when I have more money, when I find the right person, when I move to a better place. But happiness doesn't live in the future. It lives in the moments when you finally keep your word to yourself. Because that's when you start to rebuild trust. That's when discipline stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like freedom. It's the moment you realize that the promise you made to yourself is not just a goal, it's a standard. And you're either living up to it or you're not. So let me ask you, who would you be if you kept every promise you ever made to yourself? If you actually did the things you said you would do? If you stopped making excuses and started making moves? You'd be unstoppable. Because keeping your promise doesn't just build success. It builds identity. You stop hoping for change, and you become the change. You stop chasing motivation, and you start living in alignment. You start showing up with quiet confidence, not because life is easy, but because you're reliable. You've proven to yourself that you can count on you. That's power, that's freedom, that's peace. And listen, and it's not about perfection. It's about presence. It's about standing by yourself when it's hard. It's about saying, I'll do it scared, I'll do it tired, I'll do it broken. Because that's how you earn your own respect. That's how you live like you promised yourself. The world will tell you to be patient, to wait for the right time. But if you keep waiting for perfect conditions, you'll miss your whole life. Start now. Not next month, not next Monday, now. Because the version of you that's waiting and is still waiting, and the version of you that acts is already changing everything. So make a promise right now. A real one. Not the kind you post about. The kind that only you know. The kind that doesn't need validation. Say it quietly, but say it with conviction. I will never give up on myself again. I will not abandon my own dreams. I will live like I promised myself I would. This is your time. This is your life. And this time, you keep your word. The moment you start keeping your promise to yourself, the world begins to move differently. You walk differently. You talk differently. You think differently. Because now you're no longer at war with yourself. But let me tell you something. Keeping that promise won't always feel good. It won't always feel inspiring or cinematic. Most days it feels like a battle you fight in silence. A war between who you are and who you said you'd become. Discipline is not glamorous. It's not the highlight reel you see on social media. It's waking up when you don't want to. It's doing the work no one applauds. It's saying no when your emotions scream yes. It's staying true to your vision when your mind whispers, maybe tomorrow. That's the real test, because when motivation disappears, and it will, the only thing left standing is your discipline. That's what separates dreamers from doers. Motivation gets you started. Discipline keeps you going. And consistency transforms you. You see, greatness doesn't happen in one big explosion of effort. It happens in the small, invisible moments. The moments nobody sees. The moments when it's just you versus your excuses. Every time you keep your promise, you build evidence. Evidence that you're capable. Evidence that you can trust yourself. And when that evidence piles up, your self-doubt starts to fade and your confidence begins to rise. That's how belief is built, not from words, but from action. And if you ever doubt why you're doing it, remember this. You're not doing it for applause. You're not doing it for validation. You're doing it because you owe it to the person inside of you, the one who's been waiting for years for you to finally show up. Because here's the truth. You will never outrun the promises you break to yourself. They'll follow you. They'll echo in your mind when you're quiet. They'll whisper in the back of your head, I thought we said we'd change. So stop breaking your own heart with broken promises. Stop telling yourself someday. Someday is a lie. Someday is the language of regret. Every person who ever became great started at the same place you are now. Uncertain, scared, doubtful. But they made one decision: to stop negotiating with their excuses. They decided that the pain of discipline was lighter than the pain of regret. Listen, you're not weak because you failed before. You're not broken because you lost faith. You're human. But what separates the ones who rise is that they don't stay down. They rebuild. They restart. They recommit, and that's what you're doing now. You're reclaiming your word. You're reprogramming your mind to believe again. When you say, I'll do it, you do it. When you say, I'll start today, you start today. No more half-hearted promises. No more waiting for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is you deciding that it's now. And I get it. It's not easy to stay consistent when no one's watching. When you're tired. When you're hurt. When life keeps knocking you down. But that's when it counts the most. That's when your promise is tested. Because commitment isn't proven when it's convenient. It's proven when it's difficult. The strongest version of you will not be born from comfort. It will be born from struggle, repetition, and pain. From the days you want to quit but don't. From the moments when no one believes in you except you. That's what living like you promised yourself really means. It means doing it anyway, even when it hurts, even when it's hard, even when no one cares. Because one day you'll look back and realize the pain was worth it. Every lonely morning, every small victory no one noticed, every tear you wiped in silence, they all built the person you are today. You didn't just change your life, you kept your word. And that is rare. Most people talk about what they want. Few actually become it. So when you keep showing up, when you keep honoring your own standard, you're separating yourself from the crowd. You're building something that can't be faked. Integrity. Integrity means doing what you said you would do, long after the feeling that made you say it has faded. That's what real strength looks like. It's not loud, it's quiet, it's consistent, it's honest. And when you live like that, you stop chasing happiness. Because happiness begins to chase you. You feel lighter, stronger, peaceful. Because for the first time in your life, you're not running from yourself, you're running with yourself. So stop waiting for motivation, stop waiting for permission, stop waiting for a sign. You are the sign, you are the reminder, you are the promise. Start with one thing, one habit, one step. Keep that promise today. And tomorrow, do it again. That's how you change your life. Not in a week, not in a month, but moment by moment. And now by keeping your word to yourself again and again until it becomes who you are. Because the person who keeps their promises doesn't just build success. They build peace. They build power. They build purpose. And in the end, that's what living truly means. To wake up every morning, look in the mirror and say, I'm proud of who I'm becoming. Because this time, I'm living like I promised myself. There comes a moment in everyone's life when they face themselves. Not the face in the mirror, but the truth behind it. The truth about what they've become and what they've abandoned. And that moment, it's terrifying. Because deep down, you know exactly who you could have been. And you know how far you've drifted from that person. But here's the beautiful part. That version of you hasn't disappeared. It's still there, waiting for you to keep your word, waiting for you to live like you promised you would. You see, the human spirit doesn't die from failure. It dies from forgetting. Forgetting the dreams you once swore you'd chase. Forgetting the standards you once swore you'd hold. Forgetting the fire that once burned in your chest. You were born for more than existing. You were born to experience the full spectrum of this life. The struggle, the sacrifice, the beauty, the redemption. You were not meant to spend your years apologizing for who you are or settling for less than you're capable of. Because you made a promise. And that promise wasn't a wish. It was a declaration. It was a contract with your soul. So live like you mean it. Work like you mean it. Love like you mean it. Show up in your life with the same fire you once had when you dreamed big. Don't let that fire go out. Because every day you live below your potential, you teach yourself that mediocrity is acceptable. You start to believe that good enough is good enough, but it's not. You know it's not. You have something inside of you that refuses to die quietly. A voice that keeps saying, I'm not done yet. That's your spirit calling you back to the battlefield. Not to fight the world, but to fight for yourself. Fight for the life you said you wanted. Fight for the person you promised to become. Fight for the peace that only comes from self-respect. Because when you keep your promise long enough, you stop living in survival mode. You start living in purpose. It's not about chasing perfection. It's about honoring progress. Every rep, every early morning, every time you say no to your weakness and yes to your strength, that's you becoming who you were meant to be. And one day you'll look back and smile. Not because it was easy, but because it was worth it. Because you'll finally understand that keeping your promise was never about achieving something. It was about remembering who you are. You were always capable. You were always enough. You just needed to stop betraying yourself long enough to see it. So forgive yourself. Forgive the times you quit. Forgive the moments you doubted your own worth. You're not defined by how many times you fell. You're defined by the moment you decided to rise. When you rise for yourself, you rise for everyone watching. You become living proof that it's possible to rebuild, to restart, to relive. You show others that broken doesn't mean finished. It means reforged, reborn, resilient. And when you live like you promised yourself, you don't just change your life, you change your legacy. Because people don't remember what you say, they remember what you live. They remember the way you showed up. They remember how you fought when everything was falling apart. They remember how you refused to quit when quitting would have been easier. That's how greatness is built. Not through comfort, but through conviction. Through the quiet, unshakable belief that says, I will keep showing up because I said I would. So today, I'm not asking you to make another promise. You've made enough of those. I'm asking you to honor the one you already made. To live the words you whispered to yourself when no one was listening. To finally become the person you told yourself you'd be. Because that's the victory. Not fame, not money, not applause. The victory is peace. Peace that comes from knowing you did not abandon yourself this time. You can start over. You can begin again. You can rewrite the story. All it takes is one decision. To no longer betray the person in the mirror. That's your redemption. That's your rebirth. That's your freedom. So go. Live it. Not tomorrow, not when you're ready. Now. Because this is your time. And this time you keep your promise. Live like you promised yourself. The world is watching. But more importantly, your soul is too.